Welcome back, everybody, to the Saxcast. I'm Adam. He's Scott. And as always, we are joined by the man in the middle, Saxboy Billy. How's it going, boys?
What's up? What's up? Malcolm Mitty again, man. Good to be here. Good to be here with my Dewey, my Reese. This is another. I just want to say thank you. Really happy with how the numbers are. You can see people are sticking around and following it. I just want to say just thank you. That's awesome. These guys have been doing podcasting for a while. I'm just getting started, so you're literally just like watching me like learn how to do this with the help of these guys. And so thanks so much for listening and all this stuff. So appreciate it.
You're a natural, Sax. We're at episode 3, man. What is the average podcast goes like 6-7 episodes? So I think we're halfway there, man. We're halfway.
I think
there.
We'll make it. And people like seeing behind the curtain, they like seeing people like build things. Like my dad, he watches YouTubes about English people from England going to France and building and restoring chalets. And they'll just
those videos. I love that shit, dude. You ever watch the men in the wild building like these massive houses out of mud and like sticks and everything like that? You guys ever?
You mean the one where they're like they fly the drone over it and there's like huge bags of concrete and then it's like all fake for Instagram?
Yes, but like I will sit on the couch for 3 to 4 hours and just watch these like two guys fake build like this resort in the middle of a forest somewhere. But really,
dude, they always have like I love how they always have like multiple pools.
Oh yeah.
Like, we got the downstairs pool slide, then you have your upstairs pool relax.
They always do a lap back and forth just to show like you can swim in this pool. Like
it's always incredible. Like weirdly sped up and the sounds are like so satisfying. It's like
it's ASMR. It really is. Oh. Yeah, it's incredible.
It's watching people complete things is so satisfying. That's why people will fold clothes while they do their rants or like speed run Minecraft. It's and here you're watching me learn how to podcast, so it's fun, But
speaking of ASMR, have you guys watched those videos on TikTok? I swear I'm addicted to them because they're just so satisfying. You see like a guy like cleaning a window. I'm like, oh, you missed a spot. Go back.
Yeah.
He's missing a spot on perfect too.
Yeah, that asshole.
I know. On purpose.
Well,
like if I hit this one corner, if I don't get it, I get my retention and the comments go crazy. And
it's rage bait. It's rage bait. Yeah.
Rage bait.
Absolutely.
A comment is basically it pumps it into the algorithm as much as a share. Like, so it's just rage baiting. It's genius.
What I love on TikTok is when they show me a video that I haven't it's 2 videos stitched together. And on one side, it's just a guy mowing a lawn or like doing some task. And then on the left side, it's like the video that I'm watching, but I'm also watching both of them at the same time. And I was doing it the other day and I probably scrolled through 20 of them and I'm watching every single one. And my girlfriend looks over, she's like, what the fuck are you watching? I'm like, I'm just watching a video. But she's like, no, there's people doing multiple tasks on the other side of the video that has nothing to do with the video. I'm like, what's your point? I don't get what you're saying. She's like, this is not normal behavior. I'm like, this is how my mind works. This is exactly what I want to watch. I know it's crazy, but it's fun.
No, again, that's why people eat food, like eat delicious food while they go on a rant or like fold laundry or speed run video games. It's because it's satisfying to watch completion. We have completionist brains. And when you like play a video game and like listen to a podcast or like multitasking, it kind of hits the same niche. So we should figure out things to play on the YouTube that are in success at the same time as us talking.
Yeah.
What would be satisfying? Like mowing lawns,
blowing snow in Mongolia.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think it's just like people doing like the most. It's always like a game that I don't even know if it's like a real game of like a ball just like moving through an obstacle and I'm following it, but also watching something else at the same time. And I'm like, I don't know where this game's going, but I like it.
On Instagram, it's the ads of like the guy with the gun and then he hits the blue thing and he's got plus 10 guys.
Love it.
And it's always the same thing. Like, he's going to screw up on purpose. You're like, no, get the more guns. It's like, it's fantastic. It's just, that is how TikTok changed everything, man. Because it's about retention. It's about keeping your attention. Because the longer you stay watching a video, the more they could sell you ads and TikTok shops and all that stuff. So that's where TikTok, it changed the world, man. It does everything possible to make you not change watching it, and it's pretty
works.
amazing. It works, and they are in our brains, the Chinese. And
well, it was almost gone for a second. It was gone for about what, 10 hours?
That was the biggest stunt in the history of the world, and it worked. It was genius.
Talk about propaganda, dude. Like, geez, oh man, it was right there.
It was that thing worked. So hats off to him. Good job.
Well, you know what's coming across my timeline a lot nowadays, boys, is Mongolia.
Mongolia.
I think we might be the official podcast of Mongolia.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, we quite literally, and I mean this very literally, have a bunch of Mongolians fighting in our comments on Instagram. like, I'm saying that in just the most literal way possible. Like, every day I just get notification after notification after notification of just like different people from Mongolia arguing in your comments of the video that you posted, which we'll get into, but it's awesome. Like, it's a whole nother part of the world that I just never thought I'd be immersed in. And now I'm
we're diving headfirst into this. And yes, we will be talking about Mongolia all the time. To pull back the curtain a little bit, my ex-wife is Mongolian. So she's going to be coming. We're still like really tight. She's going to be coming on. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to have correspondence in Mongolia. We're going to educate people on Mongolia. And I can't wait. It's like the perfect hyper niche. It's so similar to the Pirates too. Pirates, Mongolia, weird
it's all
town
connected.
travel.
It's all connected. Yeah.
And it's there's not a lot of, white dudes talking about Mongolia, white American dudes we might be, one of like 2 or 3. So we're gonna people will see it in Mongolia. Absolutely.
I'm just laughing at the fact that thinking about a Mongolian looking at our page and learning about Cumberland, Maryland, possibly.
They're like, I just saw this video
PA.
about this beautiful place, Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
You're going to be responsible for like lots of airlines bringing the masses over to go visit Indiana, PA.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can you imagine?
And they're going to be like, what do you mean I can't fly into Indiana, PA?
They want to be wood boys.
There's going to be a direct flight from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia to the John Murtha Airport in Johnstown and the Jimmy Stewart Airport in Indiana.
I love that you know those names right now. Hilarious.
Incredible. I honestly didn't even know that there was airports there.
Oh, if you go to like east of Pittsburgh, it's the John Murtha Airport, it's the Jimmy Stewart Airport, and it's the Arnold Palmer Airport.
I've been to Latrobe many, many times, which very underrated airport. Have you guys flown out of Latrobe before?
No.
It's honestly a great airport experience because, okay, the only part I hate is you got to drive in. If you're living in Pittsburgh, you drive an hour there. And when you get back, you're like, fuck, I got to drive another hour till I get home. But you get there, you park your car for free for the entire time that you're there. There's no limit. There's a D'Annunzio's Italian restaurant attached to the airport. So you get a nice little meal while you're in there. Yeah, absolutely. You get some gabagool. And then there's just one room where you walk into, and that's security. It's one line. It's one metal detector that you walk through. One time I left my laptop in there and they just walked it to me at the gate. There you go, sir. You forgot.
I was going to say, there's no way that restaurant is inside the airport.
It is.
How many
in the airport?
Inside, you have to go through security to get to the D'Annunzio's?
No, the D'Annunzio's is right outside of the security, but like you could walk into. I could throw.
They literally have one of those like Olive Garden buzzers when your plane's ready to board.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could take like 10 big jumps and I would be in the restaurant. But like you go past security, you go downstairs, and it's just one big room, and then there's like a concession stand. Like how you would see it like a Little League field. They're like, they got like Twizzlers out.
they got Swedish fish in a plastic bag.
Yeah. And then you just get on your flight. Like it's so easy. They used to fly to Fort Lauderdale all the time where my mom lives. So it was so nice.
I was going to say, that's got to be $1,000 Florida flights.
Yeah, it was so cheap. and I think they go to Vegas too, but they got rid of the Florida flight, so not doing that anymore. I'm just flying out of Pittsburgh, which has been. Maybe we'll get into that, Sax, because you're there all the time.
That's my
But, like,
airport.
the line.
That's one of the best airports in America.
Do you have TSA pre-check yet?
No, and I don't think I'll get it. Or we'll go into it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's the line. I guess because they're building like a whole new airport or like a whole new terminal.
The terminal's coming. Yeah, they actually invited me to go tour the new terminal.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be unbelievable.
I'm like a legit fan. Like going to all these American airports, we legit have a great airport. It's top 5, top 4. Like it's good. But yeah. When I fly to Mongolia, when they do the direct flight to Mongolia, I'll be see I worked that back in.
Let's talk about that. How
I'm learning.
What's the flight to Mongolia like? Like from if we were to fly, can we fly from Pittsburgh or do we have to go to like JFK or?
So it is. There's 2 basically big ports that fly. You have to fly through. You can't fly from Pittsburgh. You have to go to either New York or Los Angeles or one of the bigger hubs. And the 2 big ports to get through Mongolia are through Istanbul and through Seoul, South Korea. Because funny enough, in Mongolia, the big like culture outside of like Russian influence, which is like the old, like all the older people, it's all heavily influenced by Russia. The younger people, it's all Korean. There's tons of Korean stuff there, restaurants, chains, and there's flights. There's a ton of flights from Korea to Mongolia, tons of Korean businesses. So, yeah, you'd have to fly from Pittsburgh I flew from Pittsburgh to New York to Istanbul, Istanbul to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. The whole thing was about, 34 hours.
Jesus Christ.
But if you do it just from New York, funny enough, if you do it just from New York, it's about 16 to 20 hours. The longest thing is the layover between Pittsburgh and New York is like it's weird the way the times link up with the flights. It's a long flight, but the nice thing about those international airlines is it's like it's free everything. And when I went over there, I was boozing at the time, so like I don't even remember the flight. I was just drinking beer the entire flight.
Yeah, that's I mean, Scott, you won't even go to Australia because it's too long of a
Dude,
flight.
the longest flight I've been on was I did it direct from JFK to Honolulu, and it was like 12 hours straight. And I was like, I don't know how people go to like Japan or Australia or anywhere like that. Because we even met some Australians out in Waikiki Beach in Honolulu, and they were like, yeah, it takes like 9 hours from Sydney to get here. I'm like, what? You guys are in the same ocean. That's 9 hours. It's crazy how big it is. So
it's unreal. Yeah. And if you fly from Seoul to like Los Angeles, that's like a 14-hour flight or something crazy. But if you go New York to Istanbul, that's like 8 hours. And then Istanbul to Mongolia is another 8 hours. So you can kind of chop it up. And if you have the means, it's an expensive flight, but once you get to Mongolia is extremely affordable. So the round trip flight was about $700 too if you get it coach. So it's not even that. It's not
okay. I mean, that's like going anywhere in Europe, really.
Yeah. It's really not. It's really not that bad. You just it's just a process.
I'm trying to like.
Well, before that sounds like something I wouldn't do.
Well, no, because I'm like, Scott, you got something? Because
no, I was just going to ask you. You're talking about the Pittsburgh airport. Talk about the Mongolian airport. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the capital.
Ulaanbaatar.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah. So it's actually brand new. So they had an old school one, like when you see like movies in black and white, and it's got like the Casablanca airport. They had that forever, and they outgrew it. And honestly, it's brand new. It honestly reminded me of the Raleigh airport.
Oh,
it's like you landed. Yeah. It's just like kind of like, I don't know, the international terminals. Like it doesn't really say much about Mongolia inside, you know. And then the second you get out of the terminal space, you're like, oh my God, I'm in the cold steppe of Mongolia.
Let's
I don't know what it is about airports. They don't want them to be unique or interesting. They want them all to be this like just global mall of,
get like some headphones and a suitcase. Like who's buying a suitcase at the airport, by the way? There's always a suitcase store. Like I feel like it's a little too late.
If you don't
Is it
have
like
one
one of
now.
those like duty-free things where they'll just send it to your house? Like you're traveling and you start hating your suitcase, and you're like, "Oh, I'll just buy it here," and they'll just send it to my flight or to my house for the next trip. That's
I
got to
don't
be
know.
something
It
like
possibly something like that. Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. There's always so many shops at the airport. And
I
the
want to
only
go
ones
and buy
yeah,
8 suitcases at the airport. Walk onto the plane with 8 suitcases.
that's an
Like,
expensive flight, buddy. Yeah. Sticking to Mongolia and like the whole Saxboy method of travel, like when you get to Mongolia, say you're traveling, say I'm going to Mongolia by myself. Okay. One, how difficult would that be for somebody who does not know Mongolian? And two, how am I getting to my main destination or wherever that you were when you were living over there?
so I don't know because I always had the guide, but it's like anywhere there's an opportunity to make money off of, tourism, like there's plenty of English speakers in Mongolia. And it seems to be that my interpretation was if you the over 40-year-olds, they grew up going to Russian kind of influenced schools. And because older Mongolia was very heavily Russian influenced. So they all learned Russian growing up. And then once you get below 40, when the internet comes around, everybody knows English. So I would say it's about 40 to 50% of the people over there like spoke English fairly well. So, you know, once you get to the airport, you'll just arrange a car beforehand, or there's like buses, and you could just say like just point. I don't honestly I haven't had that experience, but it would just be like landing in any Latin American country or something where you don't speak Spanish. You just got to bite the bullet and get some expensive form of travel into the downtown. And then once you're in downtown Ulaanbaatar is the capital city. It's about like 1.5 million people.
Oh,
That's
wow.
like when you think Metro Pittsburgh is what, like 2 million people? It's
I
like
think less than that, man.
less than that. I know the city of Pittsburgh is like 330,000, but like the outskirts and everything, it's like
I don't know. It's about 2.4.
2.4, yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
about the same size as like Metro Pittsburgh. And this is like the 16th biggest country in the world by like size, but it only has a population of like 3.4 million people. So it's like the size of like, I don't know, like Dallas, Texas, all the
Right.
people in there. And yeah, so you'll just kind of find whatever tourism trappy thing, get to your hotel, and then once you're in the center of Mongolia, you can walk around pretty much anywhere. It's very walkable because it's all very centralized, small. When I was there, it reminded me of New York a lot, just the density. It reminded me of New York more than anything else, really, just because everything you need is within a block. You know,
Right.
every block has everything. You got your Korean restaurant, you have like 19 pharmacies. They love pharmacies there. But yeah, it's for people that don't know where it is, it's sandwiched in between Russia and China. It has no other borders. So it's like, and it's a democracy of 3.5 million people, but it's sandwiched between these two giant powers. And so like Putin did a trip to Mongolia last year, breaking like international whatever. But it's like Mongolia. What are Mongolians gonna do? They're if Russia like woke up, they could probably just like walk into Mongolia and take it.
Let's not give them any ideas here.
You said 3.5 million. You said 3.5 million people. A majority of people live in the capital city. Then it
Yeah,
sounds like.
that's like 80 to 85%, which is when you get to a lot of these smaller countries. They only have one other like city with over like 100,000 people too. So it's
Wow.
like if you grow up in, that's why it's going to be hilarious to see this podcast with these people coming there, because
I can't wait
it's a
for
small
boys
place.
trip to Mongolia.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
go.
dude, we're going to Mongolia.
I'm ready.
I'm definitely going at some point, 100%, because Mongolia it rules, and it's fantastic, and it's a schlep. The climate is harsh. for 4 months of the year, it's like average is like -15, -20. That's like it's really harsh. But
Scott's
they
face.
always say, you know how you go to the desert, it's like, oh, but it's dry heat. It's not as bad. In
So-
Mongolia, it's like a dry cold. It's not as cold as you think.
I
So it
don't
says
know.
-20, but it's more like -3. That's how
It's
it
still
feels.
negative.
Yeah.
Sax, like how warm does it get there? Like, is there any summer months there? Like,
Yeah. So the summer months are between like May and September. It'll warm up. It'll get around like high 70s, low 80s, and everybody just throws their clothes off. Everybody's just running around naked, like you read about in the papers.
oh, hell
But
yeah.
but the thing with Mongolia is, in Mongolia, there's a deep, deep frost that like a like that covers the land and just like smothers everything. And once it warms up, all the bloom and blossoming just explodes. And so it's just like it was like a pollen fest of like just like, if you have allergies, maybe not the place. That with the smog from the coal burning furnaces
Hell yeah.
and it's also very dry. So I'd wake up constantly with nosebleeds and like dry throat. I was also drinking a lot while I was there, but it's just hard. It's just a weird climate because it's a desert. It's very cold and it's a desert in the Gobi Desert. But
What are you doing? Like, I have a buddy who lives in Phoenix, right? And he always tells me, do not come here in the summer. You will melt. Like,
Right.
is that like we don't go outside these times of the year? Like, are we wearing like Michelin Man suits around to keep ourselves safe? What's the deal?
Absolutely. So like I went to Phoenix this year for the Pirates, and you don't go outside between like 11 a.m. and like 4 p.m. You just siesta.
Right.
Same in Mongolia. Like at night, you basically get into your house around 8 o'clock and you don't leave again until 8 a.m. Like you just don't leave unless you can go for short trips, like fully. You got to have mittens. You got to have the whole shebang. And but yeah, you have to be extremely careful with it. That's extremely mindful of it. And
Right.
I actually I sent you guys some pictures and some videos. For those of you listening, I sent these guys some pictures of just some random stuff. And I want to show you how in the middle of March, because I was watching March Madness, I was hankering for chips and salsa, and I want to show you my trip to get chips and salsa.
Awesome. Well, again, if you're listening, head over to YouTube and watch. You'll be able to hear the sound on this, but we're pulling up the clips now. So I'm going to throw this
Watch
up on
coverage.
the screen. All right.
All right, so I'll walk you through it. So this is March Madness, right? So this is probably late March. You see the ground, for those listening, there's that like kind of like that kind of just like snow that looks like it's like a sheet of ice underneath it.
Right.
That basically is there until like April. It's just really harsh. It's thick. It doesn't melt. If you put rock salt on it, it barely melts. And right across from there, that's the apartment I lived in. I lived on the 16th floor, and you can see everything that I need is within that 1 block radius. Where that black building is, right there, the black marble, that's got hair. That had literally everything: hair salons, Burger King.
There you go.
There
What
were
else do you
2
need?
huge
Yeah.
chains, American chains. One was Burger King. Let's see if you can guess the other one. Give it a guess.
Mickey D's.
McDonald's.
No, there's no McDonald's in Mongolia. It doesn't have the
okay,
population.
Wait, is it fast food?
Yes, and it's huge. It's bigger than the Burger King.
Wendy's.
Burger King in Mongolia is kind of looked at like how we look at Burger King in the United States.
Taco Bell?
No.
Oh man.
Wendy's, not Wendy's.
You're getting close to Taco Bell, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh really? Wait, what's close to Taco Bell?
Chipotle.
I mean, there's a certain triple combination of stores. Taco Bell has a little friend in the fast food industry that it teams up with.
KFC?
KFC.
No way.
KFC, there's like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere in Mongolia.
Okay,
Anyways,
so not doing so hot in the U.S., but killing it in Mongolia.
Oh, you have no idea. Like that is like, and honestly, the KFCs in Mongolia, it felt like more American than like the KFCs here. I was like ready to like fight in the Iraq War or something in those KFCs. I was like, hell yeah, America, let's go, baby. All right, so I was watching March Madness. It was in San Antonio. They kept on showing clips of chips and salsa, Mexican food. That was the one thing I really missed when I was living in Mongolia was Mexican food because they don't have any of that. So I wanted to get chips and salsa. So I went from my apartment to go to the grocery store. I went to 3 different grocery stores. None of them had chips. None of them had salsa. Why would they? It's Mongolia, right? But I was determined. And so I went to this one that this store I'm going to in this video is like the Walmart of Mongolia. It's called Nomen. I believe it's Russian, but go ahead. So it's right across the street. Go ahead and hit play, and I'll talk about it a little bit.
I just watched coverage of the Final Four in Houston, Texas, and they were eating chips and salsa.
They're eating chips.
I've been to 4 grocery stores.
Hit a pause real quick. Go back a little bit. So you see on the side of that building, there's a giant painting.
Yeah.
So in old Soviet culture, like they called them Soviet mosaics. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Kind of like basically they paint the side of a building or a wall with kind of like little tiles or something as kind of like shrines to like the working man. That's always depicts like, someone like, working on something or like engine, like, people just doing stuff. And all over Mongolia, you can see old Soviet mosaics done. And then this is kind of like a modern nod to that. It's very common to see giant paintings on the sides of buildings, like like Miami, like Art Basel, like, we're doing like a Monopoly piece on the side of a building. This is like, they might have gotten it from Mongolia.
Right.
But go ahead. So this is right across the street from me.
Please, Nomen. Hello, Jerry. Nomen, have chips and salsa.
I got it.
I walk in the store and I just like look right over here and I'm like, oh my God, salsa. No.
Well, so what is this then?
So that is kimchi.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of kimchi.
It's a giant, they eat kimchi over there. Like it is, I don't even know how to like, it's just, they put it on everything.
Right.
And I legitimately, my eyes were tricking. I thought that was like things of salsa.
It looked like salsa. Yeah.
It looks like salsa, right? And then if you play the video, there's even more kimchi. There's kimchi all over the place.
Just kimchi. Every kimchi you
more
could possibly
kimchi,
want.
more kimchi.
We have found it, people. Don't get
And then
too
I
excited.
found salsa. Here
it is.
Found it.
Salsa.
Pause that.
Nice.
Is that salsa?
No, it's tomato sauce.
That's what I was gonna say it.
In what? I know a little bit about Spanish and like, what do they is salsa the name for tomato sauce?
I don't know.
And Napolitano, that's Italian. Like that's.
It gets even better though. Hit the video again and wait till you see the next salsa. Here comes the next salsa.
Napolitana. Salsa.
Yeah.
So it's salsa carbonara. So people listening, it looks like those jars of like Tostitos, like that crappy salsa.
Yeah.
Except for the first one, it has salsa on it. The first one is a marinara sauce, and the second one is like a carbonara, like fettuccine Alfredo sauce.
Well, I guess it's not meant to fool anyone. They got spaghetti on both of the jars. Like there's no chips in sight.
I'm just like, is it like, what language is salsa sauce? Like, is it like Portuguese? Like, whenever you're confused about a language and you don't like recognize, you're like, oh, it's probably Portuguese.
So salsa has 2 definitions. One is a type of Latin American dance music incorporating elements of jazz and rock. 2 is a spicy tomato sauce. So
they're going really loose with the interpretation.
Real loose.
Or I guess they're following the interpretation to just a tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce. Well, this is
there tomatoes in carbonara?
No. Right?
No. Carbonara is like egg and cheese.
Yeah. Egg and cheese salsa. So I'm walking around. I'm trying to, it's just like you don't. They don't have American stuff over there because it's all Korean influence, it's all Russian influence, and yeah. So far nothing. Kimchi, whatever. Okay, go ahead and hit play again.
Banana.
Hit pause. So this is the chips and salsa that I eventually ended up with. So for people listening at home, I'll explain what this is. This is their version of Pringles, which is the most American like chip. Closest thing I could get to like a corn tortilla chip was their version of Pringles, which is a red can in a sleeve called Cracks with a K, with the potato with glasses. And then for salsa, I got hot lecho and mushrooms, which is another tomato sauce.
Ooh.
So I looked around for 3.5 hours, 4 hours for chips and salsa, and I got Pringles, and I would dip it into basically like a spicy tomato sauce.
That's incredible.
That kind of gives you just a good, it's just, it's why would it be Americanized? It's Mongolia, right? But certain creature comforts I had to, kind of like you didn't get. But if you go to the next video right here, this is kind of, I'm going to show you what they do in Mongolia a lot with American brands. All right, so pause it right there. This is a bag of Cheetos. Can you go back a little bit? So I'm pretty sure these are Russian Cheetos. So what do you, when you guys think of Cheetos, like describe to me, just describe what a Cheeto looks like. American Cheeto.
Go ahead, Scott.
Well, it's like a long, thin, it's coated in cheese. Like it's kind of like a cheese puff, but a little bit harder, I guess. I don't know. Like a baked chip.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. Like a baked cheese puff. That's kind of like crinkly.
Harder,
it's harder and it's a little bit like rigid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's greasy. It's like slobs all over your fingers and stuff. So I guess that whatever Russian company this is bought the rights to Cheetos, although I didn't see an R or like on there. And then this is what Cheetos are in Mongolia. So keep the video rolling here, and you pull it out, and then pause it. It's an Andy Cap hot fry.
Yeah. It's exactly what it looks like.
It was the most disappointed I've ever been in my life.
These are their flaming hot
Cheetos. I was
Cheetos.
so stoked to see Cheetos. Cheetos are so satisfying. You shove your hand in there. You shove a gazillion down your face. You feel like an absolute trash monster afterwards. The amount of times you have to lick your fingers, wipe your hands when you're eating Cheetos. There's something satisfying about it. It lingers on your fingers afterwards. You can smell your fingers. And then I'm like, yes, finally, a little taste of home. And then I open the bag of Cheetos. It's a freaking Andy Cap hot fry.
That is
barely tastes
not even.
But that just happens. That happens over there. So it just like just things like that. Yeah. So that was my trip. That just happened again and again, just to get a little taste of home. I ended up finding an American grocery store that sold corn tortilla chips at the end of the day. And then I kind of
salsa?
Actual salsa? We made the own salsa, yeah.
Okay, nice.
There you go. Well, you got some other photos here, Sax, and I know you wanted us to kind of guess what we're looking at.
Yeah.
I'll pull up any specific order you want me to go in here.
Pull up the one I sent most recently first. So
all right.
This is I'm not even gonna. I recommend going to look at the YouTube. It's a crosswalk. This is it's probably negative 20 degrees in this photo right now. You can see the street is frosted over. I was waiting for a ride. There's a sign. Guess what that sign is? And I'll explain the sign after you guess what it is.
So, Scott, you have an idea?
You go first.
Okay, I was going to say this is obviously a crosswalk, and there's the red indicator telling you to stop, and then below it is what the 3 blind mice wear. So this is obviously telling the people to watch out because 3 blind mice cross this street often.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Nailed it.
Okay.
We're Mongolians.
Blind people crosswalk thing.
Oh, I'm like actually close.
Is
Okay.
the 3 blind mice sunglasses?
I was just fucking around.
That's it.
Okay,
That's
great.
what it is.
That's amazing.
I mean,
Wait, this
how
is for
great?
oh, that's
how great
incredible.
is that? How great is that?
That's hilarious.
This is at every crosswalk, or
When there's blind people around.
oh wow, okay.
It's like a registry of blind people.
Blind around there, but like,
interesting,
incredible. Well, I feel great about myself.
It's kind of effective, right? It's kind of like,
yeah.
I mean, you do kind of. It looks like the mouse with the stick, like hitting the.
Yeah, or they could have just wrote the word for blind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They could have just wrote blind.
Like, because there's always signs. Like, there's one down the street from me. It's like, watch out, like blind and deaf children at play in this area.
Nope. This is just 3 blind mice glasses.
Yeah, this is incredible. Yeah, I love it. Okay, Scott, we're 1 for 1, baby.
All right.
Let's
The next one, we should make this a recurring segment. I'll go through all my own photos. Just go to the next one. All right.
Ooh,
Go ahead.
Well, there's multiple things. Are we just talking about the?
You can just talk about what you see, I guess.
Okay, so Scott,
Mongolian
take the lead.
condoms.
Mongolian condoms.
Let's go.
Trust.
So that's a box called, and it says on the box, trust.
Trust
Which is
in
like
Mongolian
kind of like-
condom.
Yeah, I guess you trust. Like, you usually don't like when you condoms and like trust is like. Trust comes in play when you don't wear the condom, right? Like,
right, yeah.
But I guess it's kind
I
of
love this.
different there. But it's yeah, those are just Mongolian condoms. And then in the
Okay.
back, I don't really know. Those look, I mean, they look pretty. Those are just like water flavors.
Yeah, those are vapes, right?
Oh yeah, it's a vape. Oh God, I got so many photos. But if you're Mongolian listening to this, send us photos of stuff you want us to guess. Because that would be a good game for us to guess what
all
it is.
in for that.
Yeah. Please, more road signs.
Absolutely.
And
More road signs.
we'll keep on more road signs. We'll keep on talking about Mongolia because it's interesting and yeah.
It is because Scott, I mean, before we met you, Sax, I could count maybe one time I've ever talked about Mongolia.
0 for me.
Yeah, like it never came to mind. So like to learn about different parts of the world and then just kind of like knowing somebody that's been there now, just being immersed in the culture and figuring out what is what and how things go. I think it's important to learn more about what's going on around the world, especially in places that aren't talked about that often. So
it's the
this is
perfect little slice of the universe that we can explore. So I'm excited about that.
Right. There's going to be a lot to talk about Mongolia, and unfortunately, Scott and I don't really have many other places like to relate.
Can we do an Italian corner? I mean, everyone's been to Italy, right?
I've been to Italy.
Yeah.
You been to Italy, Sax?
No, I've been to Mongolia though.
Beautiful. Well, I can't wait to talk about more things Mongolia. As we're talking, my Instagram is just blowing up with more Mongolians
Nonstop.
in our Instagram.
Sembeno.
Yeah, it's incredible. Sax, you got your dream vacation coming up. Why don't we end with what you have planned in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so I'm going to, guys, this account it's picking up. It's pretty fun, man. I might just be on the road like all the time now. I'm on the road more in February than I am at home, which is pretty exciting. And I'm going to New York City, which is, the Ulaanbaatar of America, of the United States. I'm going to Charleston, which is like the Erdnet of the United States. Erdnet
Beautiful.
is the only other big city in Mongolia. And then I'm going to Cumberland, Maryland, which is like
beautiful.
It's like the dirty. No, I'm just kidding. I was trying to think of the smallest place possible.
Don't piss off people from Cumberland, Maryland.
No, I love Cumberland, Maryland. Are you
Okay.
kidding me? I'm gonna love it. And you know how I travel. I love these fucking places. I'm just joking. Yeah, we're gonna have our Cumberland. The juxtaposition of people from Cumberland commenting and Mongolians commenting. Nowhere else on the internet are you gonna find this.
We're really gonna bring people together across the world.
100%,
awesome.
boys.
The Saxcast is. That's amazing.
And we're
Mongolia,
shooting the ad New York City Ferry, and we're keeping it moving. I'm stoked about the podcast. So thankful and happy that everybody's checking it out. And we're gonna continue to grow, get better. I love it.
Absolutely, man. Well, if you don't already, you're missing out on the YouTube. Go subscribe at Saxboy Billy 18. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, share it, leave a comment, send some photos from Mongolia. If you're there. I loved doing that. We're going to continue to do that. I promise you that. And then go follow us on all social media at the Saxcast. Leave your comments, your reviews of the podcast, any questions that you have, things that you want us to talk about, discuss, argue over, debate, whatever it may be. We're up for just about anything over here at the Saxcast. So from Adam, from Scott, and from
if
Saxboy
you are
Billy,
in Mongolian listening to this, if you're in it and you want an American sports team to root for, join the Pittsburgh Pirates bandwagon.
Oh, yeah.
It's an exact 12-hour time difference. So you can wake up in the morning and watch baseball with the Bucko Banner guys and Saxboy. And
I'm glad you brought that up real quick
because
I was about to wrap it up, but now it's time for Pirates propaganda real quick. If you if you are looking for a new baseball team, don't look any further but the Pittsburgh Pirates. And where should you get your news about the Pittsburgh Pirates? No other place than Bucko Banter. You can go to buckobanter.com, learn more about the podcast, or find us on all streaming and on YouTube. Don't look at any other teams in the league. There's no other teams. You go to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're the best team. Don't question it.
We've had Koreans in the past.
Exactly. And
we have a Korean now, Ulaanbaatar.
We've started scouting in Uganda. Maybe Mongolia is next. Who knows? Anything is possible.
The Dodgers can have the Japanese TV market, but we're going to take over the Mongolian TV market.
Absolutely.
Bob's going to have to cut us a check. So let's go.
Right. Mongolian facility coming up next. So, all right. From Adam, from Scott, from Saxboy Billy, we thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.